Hey, hey, BYU Awesome Knots. As we're starting the personal essay, I wanted to do a video where I talk about your showing versus telling and writing a moment. And we do a similar assignment to this with my freshmen, except they write a This I Believe essay. And you can go to thisibelieve.org. There's a whole bunch of them. Famous people write This I Believe essays and all that. This is my This I Believe essay. It has been published on the This I Believe website, and I think that back then they had really low expectations for, low requirements for who they publish, because it seemed like just everybody got published. So my This I Believe essay it's like I said, it's very similar to a personal essay. The way I have it organized is I have two moments. So this is the first moment, and then these two paragraphs are kind of transitionary, and they kind of reflective. I'm telling in these, whereas I'm showing in this first section. I'm telling about what I'm getting out of it. So that's that. And then the second moment goes from there to there, and then I have a concluding paragraph where I kind of wrap it up. And once again, it's reflective, it's telling, and I'm discussing, what I got out of these two moments, and how my life is different, and I have some sort of, meaning to these moments. I've added some sort of meaning. I want to, and I'll link this essay up in the class if you guys would like to look at it closer as an example of a personal essay. But I want to just go over the first moment and talk about how I'm showing rather than telling, the kind of strategies I'm using as a writer, and kind of how it's a moment rather than an entire story. So a few months ago, while I was writing my master's thesis, Caden plodded into my office and tugged on my arm. I sighed because this was the fourth time he'd interrupted me. I turned and watched as he pointed to the entryway. The afternoon sun was shining through the beveled edges of the window in our front door, casting slices of color onto our peppery carpet. So what I want to talk about in this first paragraph is how I start right in the moment. Sometimes, especially when I do this essay with high school freshmen, they want to give me their whole life story in this, or they start off and the moment is when I stopped or when I started riding my bike, but they start at the beginning of the day and talk about what they ate for breakfast and how their mom was on the phone with their dad, and all this stuff. It's all that extra stuff is unimportant, right? We don't need to know that you brushed your teeth or that you did all the stuff that you do regularly in a day. All we need to know is that moment. And so I always start at the beginning of the moment, the very, right when it's happening, not anytime before or anytime after, just right in the moment. That's all we need. And, readers are smart. They can put together a lot of things. They don't need to know the time of day. They don't need to know all this stuff. All we need is those little details. And if you notice, I'm showing, because in this paragraph, I'm trying to get across that I'm frustrated, right? I've been trying to write, and I'm working on a very important paper, and my son keeps coming in and interrupting me. But I don't tell you that I'm frustrated. I show you that I'm frustrated, right? I talk about how, I sighed and I turned and watched him, and I don't actually tell you that I'm frustrated, right? Which is good. I do some interesting description here. Cool. So then, look, Dada, he shouted, rainbow. So I use dialogue. Dialogue is awesome when you are trying to show rather than tell, because it forces you to show. So here we have the actual dialogue, and this right here is what we call a dialogue tag. It identifies who's talking. So we know that Caden is doing the speaking. And then I finish it out with the end of that dialogue. Then, this paragraph, I looked inside again. Yes, rainbows. My mind raced for a way to make him play in the other room. You better run and put them in your pocket. I referenced the old Marty Robbins song. This one's different, right? This paragraph's different because I don't actually have this dialogue tag like I have there. I have what we call dialogue beats. So this is a dialogue beat because I'm doing something. The speaker is doing something. And then right here, I have another dialogue beat, right? My mind is racing. And I have the dialogue in between, but I don't need a dialogue tag because it's just a two-person conversation. It's pretty easy to follow. So, Caden speaks here, I speak here, and I'm using the dialogue beats to show what I'm doing or what I'm thinking. And then it also does double duty. It shows us who's speaking, which is a really elegant way of writing, while you're showing in your one moment in time. So then the last paragraph. This seemed to placate him. He walked back into the living room. I went back to my writing and let the click of the keys envelop me. For several moments I worked, but out of the corner of my eye I could see my son bending at the waist again and again. I swiveled in my chair and watched my son, quickly recognizing what he was doing. His tiny hands reached down, closing on reds and yellows and violets. Immediately he would straighten and thrust his hands deep into the pockets of his jeans. My heart melted. I forgot about writing that day, took my son by the hand, led him outside, and played for the rest of the afternoon. So this is the final paragraph, lots of description there, and then, I transition. But if you notice, this moment is not very long. It's like, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. It's a short moment in time. And I think that those short moments work a lot better for writing because you blow them out and you really put a lot of description and detail, and it helps the reader to see. When you're trying to do a huge moment that's several hours or several days or heaven forbid a whole year or something like that, you have such a limited time in an essay to actual space to write that you spend a whole bunch of time talking about things that are not important. So really just focus in on that moment and have this pinpoint focus in what you're writing about. And I think that your personal essay will come out a lot better. Like I said, I'll link this up in the class if you want to look at this essay more and study it as a mentor text. But I'm looking forward to these. I think they're going to be really, really good. And good luck.